and that happened. I was a 7-year-old kid when all of that went down.
Oh my God.
So, um, yeah, it's a difference in experience, and then most people don't have to deal with that, and so we left. I mean, the communism was starting to really indoctrinate the children, and my parents didn't want that to happen. So we were somehow able to get a visa, come to the states, but you come with whatever you're wearing. You don't come with it's not
Yeah, you
it's
don't
not
really
like
have
you're
time to
packing. Yeah, no,
pack a
you don't have
bag.
time. Yeah, you don't have time to pack a bag. You get on the plane if you can, and I mean everything was a drama. I mean, it was something. It was experiences that you tell people, but they don't believe it. They have a system where you have to turn in everything, anything that you own, you got to turn it into the government, and so as they're checking us out, my little brother, who was 3 years old, the guy that was doing the had the checklist, told my dad. He said, "Listen, your son here. It says that he has a '53 Buick, and if you don't turn in a '53 Buick, you can't leave the country." And you
Wow.
can imagine, how can a 3-year-old have a Buick?
What?
And so. Eventually there was a guy there from the airline that said, "Listen, put your family on board, and I'm going to put my arm around you, and we're going to walk you onto the plane." And my dad did that, and that's how we got out of that country. And so we landed in Miami, just the six of us, with only $3 that was hidden in the heel of a shoe because you couldn't take any money. If they caught you with any money, automatically jail time.
Oh
And
my God.
so that's the reality. I was listening earlier to portions of your show, and so the world is very complicated, man. And there's a lot of bad people
Yeah, no
out
kidding.
there. With once they get the power, they abuse, they hurt their people, and America is just the only hope. And I know we make mistakes from time to time because we got a big footprint.
I was going to
We got a
ask you
big.
about that, though. I was going to ask you about your views on America coming in as an immigrant. And
Well,
because we talked to a couple of other people that have come to
sure.
this country from other countries, and everybody's got their own unique perspective on, the land of opportunity or
Yeah.
whatever that everybody calls it. But
Yeah.
what was your take on coming to the
Okay.
United
Well,
States of
look.
America?
As a 10-year-old kid, you don't have a take. Wherever your parents are going, that's where you
that's
go.
that's a pretty good
So it's
point.
not. Yeah. They didn't come up and say, "What's your what's your opinion of Kennedy and the Bay of Pigs?" I was just trying to get along with the kids in the playground at that
Right?
time.
Okay.
But when you come from another place, I mean, if I was, there's no refugees from Sweden coming to America.
Hmm.
There's refugees from um, places like Cuba, places like North Korea, places like East Germany, places where totalitarianism is the name of the game,
Mm-hmm.
and they do whatever they want with you, whenever they want, whatever they want. And that's something that we just can't comprehend. We can't process that. We don't have that. We have no experience like that. So we can't process that information uh, unless you've tasted it, unless you've seen it. Um, when we left Cuba, you couldn't go back. I mean, both my grandparents died, and we couldn't be there. And so, I mean, there's all sorts of. This country is it's a last hope. Um, it's a last hope. It's the best country in the world, without any doubt whatsoever. I mean,
That's
and I,
amazing.
I don't say that, I say that from my point of reference. Is that it's easy to criticize because we have been. Look, if it wasn't for this country, there wouldn't be a synagogue left in the world. If it wasn't for this country, there wouldn't be a church because the communists who were we had to deal with for a long time wanted to change our system and had the Soviet Union somehow would have been successful. They don't tolerate religion, so there's nothing to talk about. And they don't have any problem whatsoever killing 10 or 15 million people. They did that routinely throughout history. So they have different values and they have different ways of looking at things, you know. And so it's wonderful to be able to sit and have opinions and share them back and forth, but nobody knows what it's like to be a citizen in North Korea, and nobody knows what it's like to be on the other side of the government in Cuba. You know, they'll give you 20 years, 15 years over there for anything in jail, you know. So anyway,
Wow.
you know, so that's my point. That's my point of reference when you ask me what do I think. You know, I think that this country, and particularly the men and women that have fought for this country, are just the best people in the world. I mean, we freed all of Europe. We completely freed all of Europe. You know. You know, we've done some. Well, we've stepped on some people on the way, but we've done a lot more good than we've done bad. And
It's such
if you want to look for bad things, you can always find them.
Oh yeah.
You can always find them, but you really should put things in perspective about what we've done for the world, what we've done for liberty, and who's actually done that. It's a bunch of young kids that put on the uniform and said, you know, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to protect our way. And we can't afford to lose a war. I mean, we haven't lost one since the Revolutionary War, and we can't afford to lose a war, because if you lose a war, you disappear. And so, you know, you disappear. And Europe is a great example of that. Over the last 1,000 years, the borders keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it all has to do with who lost and who won and who conquered and who did, you know. And luckily, because of guys like you that put on the uniform, we've never lost a war. And we can't afford to lose one. And that's
Mike.
it, because if we lose one, our way of life is over, you know, as we know it.
Mike, you are on it, man. You are absolutely on it.
Well,
Hey,
no, but I mean,
we're going to take hey, hold that thought. We're going to take our first break. We're going to take our first break at this hour, and then when we come back, we're going to talk. We're going to continue this train of thought. I want to hear about 9/11 and then the Wounded Heroes of America. This is the Veterans Take Charge radio show. We're online with Mr. Mike Toledo, Southern California. Wounded Heroes of America. Proud and steadfast. Be right back.
Hi, registered pharmacist Ben Fuchs here. I've been studying healthy bodies for 35 years, and what I've got to tell you may shock and surprise you, but if you listen up, it may change your life. Researchers from Harvard and Columbia universities found that we can increase the production of healing chemicals by intentionally assuming open, wide, spread out, expansive positions and postures. Holding our shoulders up and widening the chest muscles for as little as 2 minutes can have a huge effect. You can drop your stress hormone levels and increase testosterone and other anabolic building hormones. Strategies like these can not only improve our ability to heal in a completely non-toxic fashion, they can keep us from having to interact with an intrusive and ineffective medical model that has presided over the most dramatic increase in degenerative diseases in the history of mankind. The stress response that manifests as elevations in blood pressure, clotting of the blood, relaxation of the immune system, and a laxity of digestive musculature is the unifying component in the development of all degenerative disease. It's the one thing they all have in common. Whether you're dealing with arthritis or osteoporosis or cardiovascular health issues, digestive distress, autoimmunity, or any of the 12,800 various diagnoses, the one thing all of these various pathologies have in common is an underlying activation of stress response chemistry. If you're looking for a quick way to reduce the symptoms associated with the stress response, consider your posture. Standing tall and strong and keeping your shoulders up and chest expanded can provide significant anti-stress benefits. Pharmacist Ben here, urging you to go to kscohealth.com to order Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the Healthy Start Pack, and other nutrition nutritional supplements that I personally use and recommend. You can purchase these premium quality products at wholesale prices online at kscohealth.com. That's kscohealth.com. I'm the pharmacist that believes that staying healthy and strong is not only about medicine, it's about giving your body the raw materials it needs to do its work. Go to kscohealth.com. Make sure you check out the cool videos too at kscohealth.com. That's kscohealth.com.
Welcome back to Veterans Take Charge. I just wanted to point out, those Pharmacist Ben commercials have got to be some of the most informative commercials in the world. I mean, the guy is an expert on human health. And in my experience of him mentoring me back to health after military injuries and illnesses sustained, he has been absolutely on point with me. He has never tried to hard sell me any products. He will recommend stuff that you can do for free to help you get well. And we are working directly with Pharmacist Ben. If any of you are having chronic conditions, we want to help you help yourself. And all it takes is a little bit of knowledge. So we want to put you on the path to gaining the knowledge that you need to make wiser health decisions. Because let's face it, none of us really want a surgery. And the drugs, you know, once you get 10 or 20 of those things going through your system every day, your life kind of starts to go downhill a bit. So if you want to work directly with Veterans Take Charge and Pharmacist Ben, you need to get a hold of us at dr@ksco.com, and we can most definitely help you guys begin the path to wellness. Also, you can call us for more information at 719-679-3283. Check it out or die.
Yeah.
Just to be honest. Just to be honest.
Welcome back to the Veterans Take Charge radio show. We're online with Mr. Mike Toledo, Wounded Heroes of America, and this is an organization that originally started to help provide services benefits for the 9/11 first responders, but then it has evolved into something so very much more. So once again, Mr. Toledo, thank you very much for being a part of the Veterans Take Charge radio show and giving as much support to our country's war fighters and first responders as you have.
Well, thank you, guys.
And let's hear a little bit about 9/11. What did that day look like for you?
9/11. When I saw those airplanes hit the buildings, you know, I couldn't believe it. I was
Flabbergasted.
I was numb, man. I couldn't. How can anybody? Because I just laid out to you how much I love this country and how great it's been to us as a refugee family, you know. And I thought, how can anybody do that? I couldn't even process that information. And then, you know, at first you're scared to death. And I went like everything that we went through as a refugee family. And I kept thinking, well, man, if we're not safe here, you know, where are we safe? You know?
Oh my gosh! You know, the idea that you'd have to go through that whole situation all over again.
Yeah,
Never really.
It was really one of those things that flash, you know. And then after initially you were frightened because you don't know if the shoe's going to drop or what. And then, you know, a few days after that, when everything was, you know, you realized that was probably just a one-shot deal. Then it turned to anger, you know, and I knew that there was going to be hell to pay, you know, and I wanted to do something. I wanted to be involved. And I had a sister that lived in New York, and I told her, I said, listen, why don't you locate a family? I'm going to put on a golf tournament. We're going to. Oh, and the other thing too is people gave about $1 billion to charities, to the Red Cross and the United Way, on behalf of the victims, you know. And then I don't know if you remember. Now you're probably a little young, you know, but you know at that time they weren't letting go of the money, you know, and some of these surviving spouses were coming on TV and they just lost the income because their husband had been killed. And,
I do remember seeing and hearing stories about that.
Yeah, the place was on fire still, and I thought, I wonder how difficult it would be to put money in the hands of one of these families, and that was really the only thought process. So I asked my sister who lived over there, said, locate a family, and I'm going to put on a golf tournament. I'm going to hook up with some of my friends. We're going to try to raise a little bit of money, and then we're going to give it to, and that was it. It was never intended to become anything more than that. It was just to see if it was possible and to connect with a family that had been devastated. And, long story short, we did. We located the family of Michael McDonald.
Oh,
He
wow.
was killed in the tower. And I talked to his wife, Cheryl. And we did this golf tournament. We raised $10,000.
Oh,
And
my
we
gosh.
gave her $7,500. And then we gave $2,500 to another fund that was set up by the people that operated a restaurant at the top of the World Trade Center. It was called Windows of the World, and they set up a fund called Windows of Hope, and we gave them $2,500. That was in November 2001.
Wow.
So it was right. It was immediately right after.
Yeah.
We took the name. I set up a web page. We took the name 9/11 Help America, and started to document. Started to document everything and all our ideas and what we were trying to do, and we actually did it. We actually did it. Pulled
That's
it off,
great.
and I thought, if a schmuck with no particular talent could do this, then what about you with all your talents and all your resources? What could you do? Because that was really, honestly, that was my if a bunch of bad golfers could get together and be able to effect that, that was, and I didn't realize at the time what an important world event that turned out to be, because it really did change the world.
Nice.
That 9/11 really changed the world. Nothing's been the same since. Now you can't get on a plane the same way. You can't walk into a mall the same way anymore. Right. Everything has changed because of that date. So, and that was it. Then the following year, we got this beautiful letter from Cheryl, and we thought, well, why don't we do it again? And we did another golf tournament. Now we didn't know who to give the money to, because they had plenty of money, the people from New York. And we ran into a group of Navy SEALs that were starting a foundation to help their widows, and we gave them the
Excellent.
money. It was a foundation called the United Warrior Survivor Foundation, and great guys. They were, things were hot and heavy at that time, 2002, in Afghanistan. So, they asked me to help them raise some money, and they were young. I was a little older than they were. I had a little bit more experience in organizing things, so I started to help them a little bit with their foundation. And I organized 3 golf tournaments, raised some money for them, worked with them, met a lot of surviving spouses, met some really, dynamic guys that were the tip of the spear, that were doing all the possible things, and
I like that term, tip of the spear.
Yeah, they were, those were the guys that, and I remember, meeting, they would drop 3 or 4 of them with a laptop right in the middle of the Northern Alliance with, 200 Afghans lobbing missiles to another side, other side of the valley, and they would call in for a B-1, and then the whole mountain would disappear, and so they were doing some amazing stuff at that time, and but their charter was basically special ops. Then the war in Iraq began, and we started to take a lot of casualties, and there was a lot of young widows. That was a different deal. The guys were very young. Their wives, they were high school sweethearts. Sometimes a kid or two, and the Marine or the soldier got killed at 20 or 21 and left a wife that was, or came back, paraplegic, they're blind or amputee, and it was different.
You bring up a really good point about who wins wars, who changes the tides of wars, and realistically, it's not the generals and the politicians. It's the E3s, the E4s, and the E5s who are down where the rubber meets the road, and those are the 18, 19, and 21-year-old kids who are pointing guns, who are stopping bleeding. Being
led by a guy that's 25.
Exactly. So when all of this had started, I guess prior to when all of this has started, had you had any kind of interaction with military or with veterans?
No, not really, not really. I just missed Vietnam. I was 19 in 1971.
Wow.
The lottery had just came in. People weren't running to volunteer in 1971.
Yeah, no kidding.
Vietnam was, that war was fought as much in the street as it was in the jungle. And at the end, everybody was just exhausted with that war, and the draft. I signed up for the draft. I was waiting, but the lottery came in. My number never came up, and that was it. I didn't, And I come from. My father probably would have loved for me to have gone to Vietnam. He was. We were really anti-communist.
Was he in any sort of military or law enforcement occupation in
Well,
Cuba?
what he was in Cuba, he was, I guess you would call him a saboteur. They would burn down things.
Maybe an extremist?
No, not really, but that's how these revolutions work.
Just really, really passionate.
Yeah, exactly. You want liberty, you want freedom, you want to get rid of this dictator. You're going to burn his sugarcane field that gives his government money. You're going to create a havoc. You're going to make it look like he's on his last leg, and that there's going to be a new sheriff in town next month.
That sounds like a saboteur.
So, yeah, that's it. And but no, But I will tell you, very passionate about liberty. Very passionate about democracy, very passionate about freedom.
Yeah, I completely understand that. I can hear that, especially knowing where you came from and what you've endured coming into this country and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, but that's it, man. It's that's what America means to many people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Just that simple thing.
So when it comes to Wounded Heroes of America, I've got so many questions because I want to know about what types of events. Yeah. But first and foremost, do you guys do a veteran outreach? Because in Southern California, that's one of the highest veteran populations in the country. Yeah. So how do you find which?
Okay. Well, originally it started. I got an email. We were sending money to widows. We're doing a program. Look, there's no trained professionals in my group. Okay, there's no social workers or anything like that. So we figured, well, what can we do for these people? And
that's where real ingenuity comes in.
Yeah, he says, well, why don't we send them a little money? It's hard to screw that up. So we'd send a couple $100 a month to whoever we chose, and initially it was widows. And so it started with that, and then we thought, well, what else can we do? Well, what about who's going to get these women flowers now? So we start getting them flowers for Mother's Day. So a little bit of money, a little bit of flowers, and then what about the kids, And so we started to collect toys and stuff like that, and give them for the kids for Christmas. But they were scattered all over the country, And so we didn't really have that personal contact. And then one day we got an email about a blind soldier in the 562 area code, which is right down here in L.A. And I reached out to him, and he invited me to his Purple Heart ceremony at the Long Beach VA here.
Oh my gosh!
And so I met 5 other guys, and 3 of them were paraplegics, and one of them was blind. The other one was an amputee, and that was the beginning. I reached out to them. We started sending them money. We started to get together. We started to go out to lunch and dinners and this and that. And then they had friends, and and that was 2006 was the beginning. Okay, where a lot of these guys were coming back. Nobody had their claims worked out. The VA didn't even know how to give it a name, and so we would step in, and I spent a lot of time with these guys. And so I would take them out, like, for example, I'd take them out to dinner, 5, 6 of them. And then when we go out to dinner, they would want to leave. We'd close down the restaurant. And I realized how important that was, that social environment outside of the VA.
Yes.
So that became kind of a big deal. So in addition to the money, it started to understand the fellowship. And then if you go out to a restaurant with 6 guys and half of them got brain TBI and PTSD, and they can't even sit still. And the waiter would break a glass and they'd hit the ground. And so you started to understand the behavior, that there was something wrong with them mentally, that there was something that
something changed.
You started, it was a change. You started to see it, and then we talk a little bit, and then I realized that none of them sleep, and then later, a few years later, they called all of that hypervigilance. But at that time, I used to say to them, "Hey, how's you get any sleep?" They said, "Shit, are you kidding? I get an hour, I get maybe 2 hours a night, and I know everything that every noise my house makes,
Mm-hmm.
and they're getting treated for PTSD and TBI and given a lot of medication, but they still don't have any money because the claims have not been processed. So, the $200 that we would give them in some cases was quite a bit.
Yeah,
it
no
helped
kidding.
out a lot.
It's pretty awesome.
So,
it's pretty awesome the things that you've done, because just simply taking veterans out on an event to go out to dinner or to go any place, X, Y, or Z, in a very organic fashion, you're understanding the realities of something like group therapy. You're understanding and organically providing some sort of cohesion and camaraderie.
Well, we got, that wasn't that hard to figure out, Dave. I'll be honest with you. It was a birds of a feather.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And it worked, and it still does. And that became a big part of what we do. After that, we would listen. I avoided baby showers all my life. I started organizing baby showers. Okay, it was anything that would bring these guys together. And then we create this family of guys, and we've helped. And it's not just a matter, because it's a matter of a little bit of money, but it's also the fellowship and the relationships, and how often we got together, and we've made some pretty good friends with a lot of these guys.
Undoubtedly. Hey, Mike, hold that thought. We're going to go to our last commercial break. And when we come back, we've got about 15, 20 more minutes. And we'll wrap up with Wounded Heroes of America, what you got going on, what's coming up next, and how people can help support you as you support veterans.
Okay.
Brett?
When it comes to selecting a doctor, dentist, or an accountant, we all want to know who is going to take care of us, right? So before you select a gunsmith, I invite you to drop by Del Valle Gunsmithing and get to know us. Hello, I'm Ray Parga, owner of Del Valle Gunsmithing in Marina. I am very proud of the reputation we have earned in our 30 years of service to the Central Coast community of gun owners and soon-to-be gun owners. Drop by and get to know us. We are at 224 Rhinedollar in Marina. Here's what you will find happening right now at Del Valle Gunsmithing.
Mention you heard Ray on KSCO, and he will cover your California gun registration fees on in-store gun purchases.
We all want to know who is going to take care of us, right? When it comes to your handguns and rifles, choose the family-owned gunsmith with a 30-year reputation of excellent service. We are Del Valle Gunsmithing at 224 Rhinedollar in Marina. Drop by Del Valle Gunsmithing and get to know us. 831-384-1911. That's 384-1911 or DelValleGunsmithing.com. DelValleGunsmithing.com.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Costa, host of the Costa Report. I don't know if you feel a little sluggish in the middle of the afternoon like I do, but if you do, I'm going to suggest you try Pollen Burst. It's an orange-flavored energy drink that comes in a packet, and it tastes a lot like that other orange drink the astronauts used to drink. You know the one. Pollen Burst contains vitamins A, B1, B3, B6, B12, pantothenic acid, vitamin D3, and gluconolactone, all designed to give you an energy boost that can last for hours. Pollen Burst comes in a box of 30 packets for $56 or 2 boxes for $100, and you can order it right now at kscoteam.com. The next time you feel tired and need a little boost, skip the coffee, soda, or candy bar and mix up a cold glass of Pollen Burst and do your body some real good. Go to kscoteam.com.
Welcome back to the Veterans Take Charge radio show. We're having a lot of good discussions online and offline. And this Syria thing, this conversation is not over, but we're gonna have to pick this up next week because there's a lot to really discuss and unfold. And the only reason I bring that up right now is because Baker and I were talking offline about exactly that and how convoluted the situation is. But
we could easily do a week's worth of broadcasting on the topic. I mean, there's so many different angles and pieces, moving pieces on the board, and things that we see and that we don't, things that the government sees and that maybe the government missed. And, you know, the black ops side of the house, obviously, we don't know what's going on there, but you better believe there's something going on there. There always is.
Yeah, there always is. In the meantime, we're talking with Mike Toledo in Southern California from Wounded Heroes of America. This organization is designed to provide services and support to veterans, to widows, to family members who have lost service members, who have, that's the real impact of war. People go to war. Some people don't come back. You know, nobody comes back completely the same.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where organizations like Wounded Heroes of America really come into play because they're providing things. You know, Mike was just telling us a little bit about the group populations that they've been providing for, you know, the widows and family members of fallen comrades. And that's, you know, without organizations and people like this, we'd be lost. There's a So, Mike, thank you very much again for being here, for being a part of the program.
Yes.
So what other types of events do you have coming up?
Well, listen, we're associated with other groups too that we volunteer for. We got a bike ride coming up
Nice.
through the Rotary. You'd have to go on our webpage, woundedheroesofamerica.org, and I believe we'll have all that information on there. We have a golf tournament coming up in July. We have a beer and wine. You know, the bike ride is October 7th. Yeah, October 7th. We have a beer and wine festival that we're not hosting it, but we're one of the beneficiaries of that event, and that's organized by the Rotary Club.
Hey, if you
and
need
we'll
any
have
special guest speakers or anything, just let me know.
No, it's a kick. Let me tell you something, it's a kick. You know, people, all the local breweries bring their stuff, and the local restaurants, supply the food, and it's just great. You know, it's just great. We have an opportunity to mix it up with the civilian world. You know, because these two worlds are apart a lot of times.
Oh yeah, that's no joke.
You know, they don't really. You know, we like to give the civilians an opportunity to say thank you for your service.
So is that like the wine and beer night? Is that just like a straight up mixer?
Well, no. Okay, I'll tell you, it's a huge event at Palos Verdes here locally, and I don't have the sun. Okay, listen to people listening. The South Bay Sunrise Rotary Club of Torrance is the one that's hosting it. We, Wounded Heroes of America, are very close with them, and we're one of the beneficiaries of the proceeds of that event. And so that will be on our webpage probably by tomorrow, the next day, which is woundedheroesofamerica.org. You can also go on our Facebook page, Wounded Heroes of America, look us up. Mm-hmm. And then you see all the stuff that we did. We just had a day at the ranch where we take, we took about 80 of our vets and families and kids, and that We got a little video that's on our webpage that we just did on the 18th of March. We got a fireworks stand. See, we're one of the few cities in Hawthorne that we sell fireworks. So if there's anybody over here in the South, in Southern California, and they want to buy fireworks, come buy it from us.
Yeah, that's what's up. Buy
We're
firepower
gonna
from
be playing-
veterans and veteran support people.
Yeah, right. And it's kind of funny because people say, oh, it's terrible fireworks. My guys love it. They sit there selling fireworks. They love it. It's like a bunch of kids, and they're selling fireworks and having a great time, And so anything that we do, we're guys. We're not Wounded Warrior Project type where they're national. We're more of a local, and we cover right now. We're covering Southern California, and the way that we operate is we're very hands-on, and we get within a couple of hours. We can just about get anywhere.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like there's not too many
I like to-
limitations
I like
on what you
to-
can do.
Yeah, we I get to meet just about everybody that we've ever given any money, and we've given probably close to $700,000, $200 at a time to all the vets that we've helped. But that's not even the thing. The money is what attracts them to us because we solve a particular problem. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we solve. Usually, they come to us because the VA referred them or the vet center referred them because they know that we're one of the few that will actually write a check. And I pay a lot of utilities, keep them from being turned off, or
Nice.
cars from being able to repossessed, and because you're dealing with young people, and young people get in a jam. And,
Yeah, right.
And we try to act a little bit like a safety net. If anybody in your audience has a burning desire, they want to make a donation, man, that's the main thing that we need, because at the end of the day, that's what they come for, and then they stay for the fellowship. So, the fellowship is really the legacy, the long-term thing that we provide, But
I was going to ask that. I was going to ask if people wanted to get involved, if people wanted to be a part of Wounded Heroes of America, or if they wanted to make a donation. Or let's just say that there's a veteran in your geographic area who wants to get a hold of you guys. How would somebody go about all or any of those methods?
Listen, they can go on our Facebook page, they can go on our web page, and there's information on there how to reach us. They can call, 310-355-0266, 310-355-0266. That's our office.
Nice.
And call me on my cell phone, You got to be a little, we're not an ATM. We got to talk. Okay, you know what I mean? We got to talk. I'm not,
I mean, you have to vet people that you're going to be you're
Yeah,
gonna be helping.
absolutely.
Totally.
Absolutely. That's why I like to meet everybody, and then when we're closer, we're not going anywhere. We're not doing anything until I see a DD-214. I see a letter, and Wounded Heroes of
Outstanding.
America. I mean Wounded Heroes. I want to see some kind of a rating from the VA, and, it's not a matter of just giving away money. But usually the stuff that we do, guys, is solve small problems, and we do a lot of that. And a lot of those people are referred to us directly from the VA because they know that we do that. There's very few foundations out there that will actually write a check. There's a few that have a lot of money that can write big checks, but But we've done, listen, let me tell you, collaborating with other foundations. There's a foundation in Texas called Military Warrior Support Foundation. They give away mortgage-free homes. 12 of our guys got mortgage-free homes.
Whoa.
Those are big deals, okay? That's more than $200 a month, and that information comes from the fellowship,
Wow.
getting together, passing information. Progressive Insurance, the last 2 years they've given brand new cars or just a year-old cars to 2 of our vets. Rotary clubs, they've given us money and cars for some of our vets. There's another foundation that furnishes homes. It's called Furnishing Hope. they've refurnished a bunch of our vets, entire homes full of furniture. So, we operate like that. We know that we don't have the resources, but we know who does.
Nice.
And so, it's we get by with a little help from our friends. But the initial deal always is that most of the people that come to us initially have some kind of a financial problem, and we try to solve that. We try to solve that, and then once you do that, they become your friends, and then they keep coming back. And then when they come back, look, we just had a Christmas program where the guys dress up, we collect toys. The guys dress up as Santa. We go all over the place delivering gifts, and we had over 200 kids this year for Christmas. I heard your other guy talking about the Native Americans. We got a small group out there on the reservation where we have sent some money to some of them and have helped some of them, but we have a Christmas program where we sent a couple of truckloads of toys out there, and a couple of the vets that we have out there dress up in Santa and pass them around. So it's just being involved, man. It's not a complicated thing. There's nothing original. I wish I could say there's something original. There's nothing original that we do. Is we just kind of try to act as a safety net, and you can do that on a local level. But you need funding, and you need to be willing to do it. And I can't imagine anyone a better group of people to help than our vets and our military. Because for me. And you guys, sometimes, people take it for granted, man. You guys are the ones that keep the light on, and you keep the bad guys away. You keep and believe me, there's a lot of bad people out there.
Ooh-wee.
There's a lot of bad people out there, and they want to hurt. And I'm not talking about just this generation. I'm talking about every generation of vets.
Yeah.
The generation that fought the Nazis, and the generation that stared down the communists, and now we got an ideology that we got to fight, and so it's always different, but the people that got to go do the heavy lifting in faraway places is you guys.
It's always the same people.
Hooah!
It's always the same people, yeah. It's always the same people, So.
Well, hey, Mike, I am very, very thankful for everything that you do, because, financial hardship is some of the worst hardship to be in, because it's such a helpless feeling. If I don't have money, I can't put food in my mouth. I can't keep the roof over my head. Yeah. And you guys are doing so much more than just financial support, which I, again, am so very thankful for you, for this organization, and for others like you. What you're doing, you just said it's not original, but at the same time, it sounds like you are providing it in such a great, effective way.
Yeah, well, it's a real privilege. It's a real privilege, and I think it's an obligation too. To be honest with you.
Can you put your contact info out one more time? We've just got about 2 minutes left.
Okay. Well, our webpage is Wounded Heroes and heroes with. See, people misspell heroes. HEROES. Okay, WoundedHeroesOfAmerica.org.
WoundedHeroesOfAmerica.org. You heard it here, folks.
And then our Facebook page, the same thing, Wounded Heroes of America. And our telephone number, the office number is area code 310-355-0266. And send money. We give it to the we give it to the vets, okay? We give it to the vets.
That's awesome.
And look through our webpage, and look through our events, and there's a section there where we go financial assistance. Every month, when we would write the checks to the vets, I would make a vet come in, write a letter, and then he'd write the checks. And we got pictures of a bunch of vets that have done that.
Nice.
on our webpage. So,
Nice.
you know, I try to make it for them, by them, get a big involvement, and it's a challenge. You know, things are different today than they were 6-7 years ago. So you have to stay flexible and deal with the new realities. You know, the long-term care is here. It's not. They're not coming. You know, they're not coming as injured anymore as they were 6-7 years ago. But you know, this war is not over by a long shot. And
Which is exactly why we're thankful for personnel like you. Hey, Mike, we want to thank you very much for being a part of the show and for doing everything that you're doing with Wounded Heroes of America. We're gonna have to cut it right here.
Thank you, and I appreciate what you guys do, and we'll talk again.
Looking
Thanks,
forward
Mike.
to it. Looking forward to it very much.
All right, man. Take care.
Follow us on Facebook and share some of our stuff, because we're going to regurgitate your information, show notes for this show, as well as your website through our Facebook page. So
I will.
You and everybody you know and everybody listening to this should log on to Facebook, look up the Veterans Take Charge radio show, like us, share us, look up Wounded Heroes of America, like them, share them.
WoundedHeroesOfAmerica.org. Check the website out. It's pretty high speed.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Okay, man. Thanks
Thanks,
a lot,
Mike.
guys.
Have a good night, Mike. Proud and steadfast. Hey, next week's going to be awesome. Next week, we're going to have in studio Rico and Harry from Veterans for Peace. And we're going to talk about the over-militarization of local police.
That sounds like a conversation I definitely want to have.
Topic. That's going to be a hot conversation. You know what? I feel like there's going to be a lot of similarities between the overpopulation or the over-militarization of our police, and just like what we were talking about with Syria, the militarization and the global policing done by the United States of America. Man, I can't wait for next week.
It's going to be a heated conversation.
Oh, I bet.
I think I'm going to bring some veterans who are currently in law enforcement. I'm going to bring them on the phone, too.
Oh, that's a good idea. We got about 5 seconds left. Ladies and gentlemen, Veterans Take Charge radio show. We're coming at you right now. Oh, we're actually leaving you right now. So we'll talk to you next week.
CBS News, I'm Pam Coulter. ISIS is claiming responsibility for bombings at 2 Egyptian churches. More than 40 people were killed. CBS's Terry Okita.
The first explosion happened in Tanta, which is about 60 miles north of Cairo. Rescuers had been sifting through broken glass and bloody pews, which just minutes before were packed with worshipers who were celebrating Palm Sunday. At least 27 people were killed there, 87 injured. Most or many of them were young men, we're being told, who were sitting in the first several rows of pews. Children died as well, and there were reports that there was blood everywhere, including on the palm fronds, which is particularly unnerving since it was a Palm Sunday service.
Russia continues to reject claims that the Assad government poisoned its own citizens. CBS's Margaret Brennan.
The Kremlin continues to deny that he used any poison gas. UN Ambassador Nikki Haley.
First of all, it cracks me up that Russia can say those things with a straight face. I mean, truly, it is amazing that they continue to cover for Assad.
Despite the war crimes allegations, the Trump administration is leaving the door open to collaborating with Russia against ISIS. And Tillerson will reassure Moscow that removing Assad is not its first priority.
Our priority in Syria really hasn't changed. I think the president's been quite clear. First and foremost, we must defeat ISIS.
He's played 71 major tournaments, and Sergio Garcia finally won his first, the Masters. CBS's Steve Futterman in Augusta.
It was the moment Sergio Garcia had been waiting for nearly 2 decades.
And Sergio Garcia has won his first major.
The call on Westwood won as Garcia sank a birdie putt on the first playoff hole to win the Masters. A few moments earlier, Garcia missed a chance to win in regulation as he missed an easy putt on the final hole.
He thought that ball would fall left.
That forced the playoff. For Garcia, the win ends years of frustration. It's his 31st career victory, but his first major championship. Steve Futterman, CBS News at the Masters in Augusta.
Reporters on Air Force One were taken aback when they saw a military transport plane that looked a little too close to the president's plane. En route back to Washington from Florida, Steve Herman was on board.
The Associated Press photographer by the window made an exclamation, something along the lines of "whoa," and quickly snapped off some photos. I looked over and could see a gray 4-engine military transport plane, from best as we could identify it.
Family and friends said goodbye to Chuck Berry at a service in St. Louis today. Earlier, fans got a chance to pay their respects filing past his casket. This is CBS News.
I'm Scott Tannen, founder of Boll & Branch, where you can get the world's most comfortable sheets for less than half of what you'd pay in the store. Our sheets are made from 100% organic cotton and get softer over time. Even 3 U.S. presidents have Boll & Branch sheets. Try them for 30 nights. If you don't love them, send them back for a full refund. Go to bollandbranch.com today for $50 off your first set of sheets, plus free shipping with promo code SLEEP. Spelled B-O-L-L and branch.com. That's bollandbranch.com, promo code SLEEP.
Wouldn't it be great if you could stop crime before it happens? With the Ring Floodlight Cam, you can. I'm Jamie Siminoff, inventor and founder of Ring. Floodlight Cam is a motion-activated HD security camera that connects right to your phone, so you're alerted when anyone steps onto your property. You can now see, speak, or even sound an alarm right from your phone, anywhere, anytime. Does your floodlight prevent crime? Ours does. Check out our Ring of Security kits at ring.com/advantage. That's ring.com/advantage.
Good evening. You're listening to KSCO at 6:04. We'll get a look at your traffic. Let's see, 156 at Union Road, the site of a collision just before the top. No injuries, thankfully. Looks like the vehicle's on the right-hand shoulder there right now, not even blocking the roadway, but definitely watch out for that. Also, Highway 1 at Moss Landing. Things are still heavy northbound, clearing back up just when you pass the harbor. Northbound 17 also heavy in a couple of spots. Glenwood. And also from the Lex into Los Gatos, 5 miles an hour. 101, still very heavy northbound approaching Highway 25 and also as you head through Gilroy. Otherwise, roadways looking good. Your weather, clear skies tonight. A low near 46. Tomorrow, sunny with a high near 66. High winds this evening up to 25 miles per hour. And your boaters forecast tonight, northwest winds 5 to 15 knots. Becoming northeast 5 knots after midnight. Wind waves 3 to 4 feet. West swell 4 to 6 feet, 11 seconds. 6:06 at KSCO. Up next, Golden Age of Radio. Double episodes of Dragnet start right now. KSCO Santa Cruz.
Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Sunday, February 10th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. We'd gotten the call at 8:36 a.m., and it was 8:49 a.m. when we got to the corner of 18th and Winfield, the back alley.
Must be it there.
Yeah, there's Harper.
Sergeant, back here. Hi, Friday, Smith.
Harper? Where is he?
Back here.
Who found him?
The fellow gives his name is Alexander Jones.
Where's he now?
Al's got him out in the car. Figured you want to talk to him. Pretty bad off.
Yeah.
Must have had himself a real time last night. He's seeing things this morning. We picked him up just coming out of the alley. Stopped to talk to him. It looked like he was having a real rough time. Jones, huh? Yeah, probably not his real name. I've seen him around here before. There's the body.
Yeah. Strangled.
Yeah, ambulance is here. Here's a slip. He was DOA. Yeah. See how the tie is pulled up out of the shirt? Looks like he was robbed. Pockets all turned inside out.
Want to call the crime lab, Frank?
Yeah. Found a couple of footprints over here in the gutter. Heel indentation looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Put this box over them. I don't know if they'll mean anything. Thought I'd better keep them for you, though.
Mm-hmm. Looks like the body was dragged back here, doesn't it? Marks in the dirt.
Yeah.
How about the neighborhood, Harper? Anybody around here see anything?
Well, I don't know. There wasn't anybody on the streets when we picked up this Jones guy. Haven't had a chance to canvass the area. Didn't want to leave here, you know.
Yeah. Well, we better call the office head and send out a couple of men.
Call Lee. He'll be right out. Got him at home. He's sound asleep. Said he'd call the lab and have Alan bring the stuff out and Lee'd come right here.
How about the coroner?
He's on his way.
Well, I want to call the office, Frank, and get some help checking the stores around, see if anybody heard anything.
I used the phone in the cigar store on the corner. Guy in there said he opened up about 7:15. Said he didn't know anything about it. Store's back door is right there. See the one with the cigar posters on it?
Yeah. All right, come on. I'll call in and then we can check some of the other places, huh?
Right. I'll wait here, Sergeant, until the rest of them come.
Fine, thanks, Harper. We'll be in the stores around the street side there.
Okay.
Let us know when Lee gets here, will you?
Yeah. What do you think, Joe?
Well, I don't know. The way he's dressed there, good clothes, looked like he had money. Doesn't figure, does it?
Yeah?
What was he doing down here? "9:12 a.m. I called the office and 2 teams of men were sent out to help us canvass the area. Frank and I checked with the owner of a liquor store who was getting ready to open for business. He told us that he'd come in early that morning to clean up his store and that he'd taken a load of trash out into the alley at about 8:25 a.m. But at that time, he hadn't seen the body. He went on to say, however, that it was possible that it might have been there and he just didn't notice it. 9:26 a.m. Sergeant J. Allen and Lieutenant Lee Jones from the crime lab arrived and began collecting the physical evidence. The body and the surrounding area were photographed. Photographs were taken of the footprints that Officer Harper had found. They were compared with the shoes worn by the victim, but they didn't match. The coroner went through the dead man's pockets but found nothing. Everything had been removed, all his personal effects, if any. The crew from the crime lab went through the alley and found a wallet behind the garbage cans at the rear of the liquor store. There was no money in it, but other papers hadn't been disturbed. Driver's license, social security card, and several business cards in the wallet bore the name of Arthur McKinley. The description on the license matched that of the victim. Comparison of the thumbprint on the driver's license with those taken from the body matched. McKinley's home address was listed as 9722 Willetta Street in Hollywood. The coroner removed the body. 10:52 a.m., Frank and I talked to Alex Jones, the man who had been in the alley where the body had been found. We had him take everything out of his pockets.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't kill anybody.
We didn't say you did. All we want to know is what were you doing in that alley?
I went there to get away.
From what?
People. They're no good. None of them. No good.
You got a job?
Yeah, I work.
What do you do?
Wash dishes sometimes.
Pearl diver?
No, sir. I'm no pearl diver. I'm a bartender. I don't feel so good. You got anything to drink around here?
You know better than that, don't you?
No, I didn't mean booze. Something cold. It feels like somebody's closed a valve in my head. It feels like it's going to blow apart. Isn't there something, anything, as long as it's cold? Like...
How about a Coke?
Yeah, be fine.
I'll get it for you. Want one, Joe?
No, thanks.
Mind if I go with you? Kind of stuffy in here.
All right, come on. We'll all walk down. You ever been arrested, Alex?
Yeah, a couple of times. Picked me up for being drunk.
What's your real name, Alex?
Stafford. Alex Stafford, that's the truth.
Where are you from?
Kansas.
Mm-hmm. What are you doing out here?
Figured that when I got out of the service, I'd come out here and go to work.
Yeah?
Got out here, spent a couple of days looking for a job, had my muster and out pay about $400. Figured I didn't have to go to work right away.
All right, just a second. All right, here you go.
Thanks.
You want one, Frank?
No, thanks. I want to check R&I and see if they finished the run on McKinley yet.
Sure cold. Tastes good. Feel better.
That's fine. All right, let's go. Frank, see you back at the interrogation room.
Okay, Joe.
Want to stop at the office, give the coroner's office a call?
Yeah.
Like I was telling you, I figured that I didn't have to come up with a job right away, so I started to see the town. You know, try to find a place to work where I could maybe do some good.
Right.
Where I could do some good. Where the tips would be good, you know, nice people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I went around to the bars, talked to the bartenders, checking around. Each of the places I'd have a drink, you know, just to be sociable.
Yeah.
It wasn't long before my dough was gone. I was flat broke, kicked out of my room. I can't blame the landlady. She carried me for a couple of months. Finally said I had to go.
All right, go ahead. What'd you mean when you said that you were running away from people?
I got a job yesterday washing dishes in a restaurant down on Spring. I worked like a dog. When I left last night, they paid me. I guess the boss knew I didn't have any money, no place to sleep.
Yeah.
I started to find a bed. And then I got to thinking that a drink might make me sleep better. So I stopped at a bar and had a couple. I had a couple more. I guess I fell asleep.
Yeah?
And anyway, I went into the alley, that one where you found the dead man, and I sat down and I went to sleep again. When I woke up, I was walking out when a cop in a car stopped me.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I didn't know the man was in there. Honest, I didn't. Now, you gotta believe me, because somebody's gotta believe me. I didn't know he was there.
Anything? Not on McKinley. Found Alex record.
Yeah.
Like you said, a couple of drunk arrests, that's all.
I told you. Didn't I tell you that? Huh? I got nothing to hide. I didn't even know the man was there.
All right, take it easy. Anything from the coroner?
Yeah, Joe, I called. Fixes the time of death at about 11:30 last night. Body hasn't been posted yet.
All right. You prove where you were at 11:30 last night, can you, Alex?
I don't know. I was someplace.
Yeah, we know that, but where?
Well, I gotta think. 11:30. I was still working. I was washing dishes in the place over on Spring.
You can prove that, can you?
Yeah, sure. The boss, he'll tell you. He saw me. I didn't leave until 12. That's when I left the place. 12 o'clock, he'll tell you. 12 midnight.
All right, Alex.
Can I go now?
Well, we got to put in a call first. Maybe it might be better if we held you over a little while.
Why? I haven't done anything.
Well, it's against the law to be drunk on the streets. You know that, Alex.
Yeah, I guess I do. You're gonna put me in jail, huh?
No, we're going to have to book you. The judge will decide where you're going to go. Probably be the county work farm.
Yeah. It was probably better that way. Give me a chance to get off the booze. Boy, I had it this time. Seeing those things. Just one thing, Sergeant?
Yeah?
I want to make sure you understand that you really believe me.
What's that, Alex?
I'm not a dishwasher. I'm a bartender.
12:18 p.m. We had Alex Stafford booked at the main jail on a charge of violation of 4127 LAMC, drunk. We called the place where he'd been employed and found that he'd been telling the truth about the time he had left the restaurant on Spring Street. 1:36 p.m. We drove out to McKinley's home in Hollywood. It was a small stucco cottage set into the side of a hill. In front of the house, there was a boy's bicycle and a smaller child's wagon. Frank rang the bell and we waited.
Yes?
Miss McKinley?
Yes, that's right. What do you want?
Police officers, ma'am. We'd like to talk to you.
It's about Arthur, isn't it? Isn't it?
It might be better if we talked inside, Mrs. McKinley.
All right. Come on in. You have to excuse the way the house looks. I haven't felt like cleaning it up. I've been so worried about Arthur.
That's quite all right, ma'am.
Now, what is it you want to tell me about him? He's dead, isn't he? You don't have to lie about it. I know he's dead. I spent the whole night thinking about it. You can probably tell I haven't gotten any sleep. I don't want you to lie about it. I want the truth. Arthur's dead, isn't he?
Yes, ma'am, he is.
I'll have to sit down.
Was something we can get for you, Miss McKinley? Water, something like that?
No. Nothing.
Why do you say you knew your husband was dead, ma'am?
I just knew it, that's all. I can't tell you how. I can't put it into words, but I just knew it, that's all. When he called last night, I knew.
What time was that, ma'am?
About 6:30. He said he was just leaving the shop and that he was on his way home. It was his birthday. He's going to stop and get some beer and a couple of bottles of bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
We're having some people in. He said he was going to stop for some things. Then he said he'd be right home.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, the children waited up for him till 10 o'clock. That's way past their bedtime. I let them wait up. They had some presents they wanted to give their father. Arthur Jr. had made a wallet and handcraft class at school, all tooled and carved and everything. It's on the table there.
Mm-hmm.
Little girl got him an ashtray. She picked it out by herself. It's on the table, too. Guess maybe you'll never get it now.
I wonder if we could call your family doctor, ma'am. You don't look like you're well.
No. I just can't believe it yet. But I know it's true. That's funny, isn't it? I know it's true, but I don't believe it. I know it's true, and I don't believe it. How did it happen? Was it an accident in the car?
No, ma'am. He was murdered.
Arthur. Arthur, he was murdered?
That's right, Miss McKinley.
Miss McKinley. There's no Mr. McKinley anymore. He was murdered.
I think maybe you better let us call a doctor for you, ma'am. Get you something.
No, there's nothing a doctor can do. Nothing anybody can do. Nothing. Who did it, you know? You know who killed him?
No, ma'am, we don't, not yet.
You said your husband called you from the shop, ma'am. What shop would that be?
It's a florist shop. Our shop. We owned it. He called me from there about 6:30 and said he'd be home. That he was going to stop for some things and then he'd be home. But he wasn't. I knew it. I knew it all night. I thought of what I'd say, what I'd do, how I'd feel, but now none of it fits. None of it seems to matter. Nothing matters much. Nothing. He said he was coming right home.
Who's your family doctor, ma'am?
What'd you say?
Your family doctor, ma'am. Who is he?
Dr. Simpkins in Hollywood. Dr. Simpkins, Hollywood, 27083.
Want to call him?
Yeah.
He said he was going to pick up a few things and come right home. My husband, Arthur McKinley. You know that, do you?
Ma'am?
There is no Mr. McKinley anymore, is there?
We called the McKinley family doctor. He arrived and gave Mrs. McKinley a sedative. Frank and I talked to her before it took effect. We asked her about her husband's friends, his business associates. She could give us no new leads. She told us that her husband usually brought the weekend receipts from the store home with him on Sunday nights so that he could make out the deposit slip for the bank. She said that he usually had about $300 to $400 on Sunday night. She gave us the name of the liquor store where he did business. 2:47 p.m., Frank and I drove out to the store.
Gentlemen, what can I do for you?
Mr. Kennedy?
Night?
Police officer, Mr. Kennedy. I'd like to ask you a couple of questions.
Sure, anything to help the police. Nothing that I've done, is it?
No, sir. It's about Arthur McKinley.
He get home last night? His wife called, seemed pretty upset. Nothing wrong, is there?
Was Mr. McKinley in here last night, sir?
Yeah, he was. Let's see, I guess it's about 6:45. Come in, got a case of beer, a couple of bottles of bourbon.
Was there anybody with him when he came in?
No, there wasn't. Did he seem all right to you when he was here? What do you mean?
Well, was he in good spirits? Did he act like anything was wrong?
No, of course that don't mean anything.
Sir?
Well, even if there was anything wrong with Arthur, you'd never know it. Always laughing, always had a joke. He had a great one last night, real funny.
Yeah?
He told the one about the two musicians that were walking down the railroad track, and one of them said to the other, "Boy, this is the longest stairway I ever been down."
Well, yes, sir.
And then the other musician said, "I don't mind that, but these low banisters are killing me." Low banisters. Say, what's this all about anyway? Something happened to Arthur?
He's been murdered, Mr. Kennedy.
Arthur? Arthur McKinley? You sure?
Yes, sir. We're sure.
How about that? Only last night I saw him laughing away. He was killed. You know who did it?
No, sir, not yet.
How about that? I bet his wife's pretty upset.
Do you know anyone who might want to kill him?
No, not Arthur.
Anybody in the neighborhood he had quarrels with? Any disagreements?
No, not I can think of.
Well, has there been anybody new, anybody you don't know hanging around the neighborhood lately? Anybody who could have known about McKinley's carrying that money around with him?
Oh, let me think. Yeah, come to think about it, there is a fella. Seen him around the last couple of days. Matter of fact, I saw him last night when I helped Arthur carry the beer out to the car. Sure, that's where I saw him.
Sir?
He was in the car with Arthur.
February 10th.